A las 8 de la mañana. Sí, al frente. Ahí sale del templo y está al frente.
Okay? Okay, Shri Prabhupada Jivanamritam Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Mat Acharya Brinda Ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Okay, so we'll begin with number 17. And Guru Maharaj, his introduction is Sadhya Seva Sankalpaha. Yes, such precise and beautiful introductions. And the Sanskrit is 3 words, but the English comes out as double that. An earnest aspiration to achieve perfection in devotional service. This is from Jamunacharya. And who knows who Jamunacharya is? Anybody? Jamunacharya. Anybody know?
One great saint.
Yes, great saint. Anyway, he's the guru of Ramanujacharya, who's the head of the Pradaya in South India, who worship Narayan, but they're extremely devotional, and Guru Maharaj likes their prayers. So he quotes a lot from Jamunacharya, and also from Vedanta Deshika, who was a disciple of Ramanuja. And this was all around beginning of the 10th century, I think, 900 something. Okay, so the English we'll read and then we'll look over the Sanskrit. When will I bloom in a life of servitude as your eternal devotee? My heart pacified due to all other desires being consumed by engagement in your uninterrupted service. Sri Jamunacharya. So let's see what the Sanskrit is. Bhavantam e vanucharam nirantaraha prashanta nihesha mano ratantaraha kadaham akantika nitya kankara. Jai Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Praharsayashyami sanata jivatam. There's no transliteration for these. Bhavantam. Hey Deva Bhavantam. Rupa Goswami's song. So Bhavantam is used here as indicated the life of full uninterrupted service, I think. Anyway, so I can't distinguish the words here. Nitya Kinkaras, that means eternal servant, eternal like house servant. So bloom in the life of servitude as your eternal devotee. Then he says, heart pacified due to all other desires being consumed by engagement in your uninterrupted service. So this is like, this comes from Srila Sridhar Maharaj's Bengali translation, and then it's been translated again into English. And so it's, you know, probably fairly close, because to go from Bengali to English is a little difficult, but it can be a lot more accurate than going from Sanskrit to English, particularly since Guru Maharaj's particular angle of vision can be reflected in the Bengali. So then it can be conveyed through the English more easily, but of course there's always the underlying interpretation of the translator, which is always there. But I think in the case of a lot of these, we get pretty much the direct meaning coming from Guru Maharaj. So the heart pacified. So the heart is not heart is not settled when, if and until it is in full contact with the Lord. The heart is always like seeking some kind of relief in, if we're conditioned within this material world. And then he goes on to suggest indirectly that by making this positive statement, he's suggesting that the real solution to the problem of an unsteady heart is to engage fully in devotional service, and not only that, but it says in a very powerful way, consumed. All these things that distract us are consumed by engagement in devotional service. And that word consumed, consumption, means it's like devoured by the power of devotional service. It's all diversions of the heart are removed. And really that's the level that we have to deal with in our devotional life. We have to transfer our hearts from outer material contacts to inner spiritual contacts. And Krishna is so kind that he gives us association with the Vaishnavas, so we can begin to, even though we're not pure, we get to exchange with the Vaishnavas and be happy in that exchange and satisfied and grow in that way. Otherwise, without the association, it would be very difficult. The heart would not be able to stand it. So the association of the Vaishnavas is crucial in this, in the fulfillment of this statement by Jamunacharya. Maybe some exceptional devotees can be engaged and have their hearts fully purified and the diversions consumed by the full engagement in uninterrupted service. But most people need the close association of other Vaishnavas to give the heart relief. And we get relief by becoming close with the Vaishnavas. And in that way we can progress and slowly, sometimes quickly, depending on the person, work so that our diversions are consumed by the power of devotional service. And we're assured by our gurus that this is the case. Devotional service, because it's connected with Krishna, and because we are connected with a Vaishnava who's connected with Krishna, we can give that service to that Vaishnava, who in turn passes it along to Krishna in a purified way. So the guru is essential, and the Vaishnavas that we are working with in devotional service are also essential. So Guru Maharaj gives that introduction: earnest aspiration, sadhya seva sankalpa, to achieve perfection in devotional service. Okay, then number 18, Guru Maharaj's introduction: the aspiration to attain the perfection of becoming an associate servitor of the Lord. parikara siddher akanksha. Another beautiful three-word, complete Sanskrit composition in which he gives us the summary of this next verse by another one by Jamunacharya. Jamunacharya, there's a whole story behind him which I can't remember, but he was a great devotee who developed from being dedicated, I think, to Lord Shiva, but through the contact with the writing of the Alwars, who were great Vaishnavas who brought they felt connection with most with Krishna, some with Narayan, and they wrote beautiful devotional songs that the general people in Tamil Nadu could sing. They wrote in Tamil, not in Sanskrit. Previously, the only thing about spiritual life that was available in South India was Sanskrit, and that was the domain of the Brahmins. So the Brahmins held everything in kind of hostage, but the Alwars took it and gave it to the people in Tamil. So, and of course, Jamunacharya and Ramanujacharya distributed more and more of this, sometimes in Sanskrit, sometimes given in the other languages by their disciples. Okay, the translation of Yamunacharya's shloka. "O my Lord, please lead me into the glance of those great devotees who, in their heart's aspiration to only behold your divine form, consider sense enjoyment and liberation to be like straw, and whose separation is unbearable even for you." So, Yamunacharya, please lead me to the glance of those Paramahansa Vaishnavas who have full aspiration to just behold the divine, beautiful form of the Supreme. And in that beholding, in that seeing of the transcendental form of the Lord, then the full fulfillment of life comes about. And the necessary, natural propulsion, stimulus to engage in devotional life comes by that contact. And naturally, through that contact, the attraction for things of the temporary world, or even things of withdrawing from the temporary world, are not significant. This is why devotional life is so nice and so soothing and relieving, that even though along the way we have still connection with the material world and still material desires, but we know by shlokas like this and by the grace of our Vaishnavas, by their lives, we know that the power of devotion is such that naturally all these things will fall away. So if we can balance ourselves in our lives and engage in devotional service to our Master with heartfelt sincerity as best we can, it can't be stopped. Srila Sridhar Maharaj guarantees this in so many places. Sincerity, cannot be defeated. And as an answer to a devotee who, came to him and said, "Well, how do we know that what we're thinking or what we're, proposing to do in our devotional life to progress, how do we know that's not just mental?" And Guru Maharaj replied, that same inner revelation that brought you here will carry you through all your difficulties. Don't worry. You know, so we have to like have faith. The crucial central substance is faith. And even if we apply that faith, you know, with flaws, because there's flaws in everything that's done with even partial material consciousness, there'll be some flaw. But even if we do that with a flaw, if we do it with, you know, sincere faith in our gurus, that everything will, you know, gradually grow and turn out. Things will be developmental. You know, things will be progressive, in spite of the flaws in our actions. You know, if we like try, you know, really try as best we can. So, you know, rather than concentrate on flaws, particularly in others, or, you know, in the structure of, you know, what people are doing, this and that, we concentrate on our own inner problems and pray that those inner problems will be destroyed by the power of devotion, and engage in devotional service with faith, knowing that this kind of activity will, you know, naturally and progressively give us freedom from the material energy. So, and then finally, Jamunacharya says, the separation of such a devotee whose, you know, fully heart's aspiration. You know, again, we have the notion that this is coming from the heart. The heart is really the soul. And the heart's aspiration to only behold your divine form. That means like behold in a mood of service and surrender. We see the beauty of Krishna when we want to surrender and serve. If we want to see the beauty of Krishna for like a rush that we get from our eyes, there may be something like that, but we have to know that's just like an an external shadow type thing. But it's, you know, in the beginning it's good to want to get, for me, the darshan of the Lord. But, you know, we learn from our gurus that ultimately, like we said last week or the week before to the gathered people at the Saturday festival, that darshan means we place ourselves before the Lord to be seen by the Lord. Not that we're, you know, checking out the Lord for our own, you know, our own fulfillment or our own feeling and stuff. We go in service before the Lord. This is the conception of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And, you know, while we understand that and we preach that, at the same time, when people come and they just want to see, we encourage them. And if they're, you know, if they're open, we tell them there's a better way to come before the Lord, to come before as a servant, and to show your heart and pray for progress, you know, out of the entanglement of the material energy. Okay. Now, next, this is number 19. Oh, I'm getting lost in this again. I think we better stop here and read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Gee, you have to remind me, okay? I was going to just keep going. Okay. Shri Prabhana Jivanamritam Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswata Mata Ki Jai. Okay. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Okay. Right, okay. Okay, so we're just about to finish the chapter. The purpose of, this is chapter 2, Adi Leela, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Okay, so Adi Leela, chapter 2, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai. Okay, so Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Okay. Okay, so Goswami Maharaj, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj. We have another Goswami Maharaj that we can't get mixed up with. So Kaviraj Goswami has just told us that, you know, all these things that come to the conclusion that Krishna is the origin of the creation of the whole universe, and not only that, many, many universes, unlimited universes, and that all these creating entities are expansions of Krishna, but ultimately Krishna is behind everything, and that same Krishna descends as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he just told us in the last verse that if we sincerely want to know, realize, you know, feel what he's trying to say, we have to discuss such conclusions, and by that discussion, you know, even if it's controversial, devotees may have questions, and they wonder how it is that, you know, Krishna is Garbhodakashai Vishnu. How does that work? Anyway, we discuss these things, and by doing that, the mind becomes strengthened. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean the material mind. The material mind accepts and rejects things based on our own gratification. But the spiritual mind functions to facilitate our devotional life. So the spiritual mind, which in turn controls the senses, gets strengthened by discussions of such topics. And Kaviraj Goswami says, in that way, one becomes attached to Sri Krishna. So he's working towards the conclusion. And the next verse is text 118. The translation is, by such conclusive studies, I know the glories of Lord Chaitanya. Only by knowing these glories can one become strong and fixed in attachment to him. So Kaviraj Goswami is telling us, I know these glories. I'm trying to give them to you. If you want to become attached to Lord Chaitanya, you should know these glories, and that will, build the foundation for, you know, growing in attachment to Lord Chaitanya. If you just hear these things, not necessary to remember all the details, but hear them as given by Kaviraj Goswami, let them sink into your heart, through your life again and again and again and again, and this will have effect. You know, Kaviraj Goswami is appealing to us to do this, and he's saying that he knows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by this kind of conclusive study. And only by this, only by knowing these kinds of glories, can one become fixed in attachment to him. So the Sanskrit is, or Bengali, excuse me, Chaitanya Mahima Jani e Sabasiddhante Chitta Dridha hana lage mahima jnana hoite. Chaitanya Mahima, the glories of Lord Chaitanya. Johnny, I know those glories. Then Sabha Siddhante. So we know Siddhanta means like the conclusion, the kind of congealed understanding, means the understanding that comes about by the combination of all the scriptures we're reading, all the prayers we're making, and all the service we're doing. That understanding becomes real in our heart. And then Chitta, the mind, Dridha, we see that so many places, Dridha Brata, the firm, fixed, determined engagement. So Dridha Lage, the firmness becomes fixed. Mahima Jnana, in the knowledge of the greatness. Jnana, knowledge, Mahima, greatness. And Hoite, from. So only by knowing these glories can one become strong and fixed in attachment to Lord Chaitanya. Therefore we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it goes in, and by the grace of our gurus, it settles in our heart and enables us to grow in devotional life. We have to do some practical engagement in devotional service, and we have to do some chanting, and we have to do some prayer to our gurus to, that we will remain in a mood of sincerity, and in that way be able to really, the word is imbibe. That means make them deeply fixed in our own consciousness. And again, that doesn't mean necessarily that we know every sloka, or we know all the details of how this all works. But by hearing this again and again from Kaviraj Goswami, by the grace of our gurus, we will get the foundational understanding that will enable us to have faith in the Lord, and it will be seated in our heart, beyond the mind, beyond the intellect, and we may be able to translate it as best we can by the will of the Lord as we try to convey this to others. But the real thing will be seated deep in the heart. And even if we can't explain it clearly, that the realization of the heart can pierce through and be given to people in an effective way. Okay. So next is 119. Srila Prabhupada says, know the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only by reaching in knowledge a conclusive decision about Sri Krishna, strengthened by bona fide study of the conclusions of the acharyas. So notice he says bona fide study. That means that we study those things which are given by the acharyas and empowered by the acharyas. The scriptures are real and live, but to our mundane minds and intelligence, if we try to access them without the the door opened by the acharyas, they'll be just words, and maybe some emotional feeling will come from them. But if they're not given, we won't get the real thing. That's the point. We might be able to speak so many things about what are acharyas have done and what the ultimate goal is and so many things like that. But if it's only mental and intellectual, it has no value. It has to be, underlain with the power of the real acharya. So we're fortunate that we have that, and we have this Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita given to us by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and not only that, further conveyed by Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj, and now Srila Acharya Maharaj. So for us, the thing is very charged. There's a lot of potency in this because so many acharyas have given us access to this. And I suppose all the acharyas before have also done that. But in very recent times, directly for people in the West, this type of commentary and entry has been given. So we're really fortunate. We're really unbelievably fortunate. What to speak of having taken birth in the family of devotees. I have kids who took birth in the family, but not me. I had to struggle for 21 years to find what is reality. But that was necessary according to my previous activities. I had lessons to learn, and I kind of learned them. I hope I'll learn them enough so I won't have to go through that in the next life, and be fortunate enough to be born in the family of devotees. Though Srila Prabhupada said most of those kids that are born in family of devotees come from the heavenly planets. So I don't know where we go. Okay, so text 119. Just to enunciate the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I have tried to describe the glories of Sri Krishna in detail. Do you know enunciate? You do? Okay. Is there a Spanish word like that? Yes, okay. Yeah, a lot of times these, the complicated words are from Latin. And, the Latin languages have access to these words and can understand them readily. The smaller words in English come from German. And that's where it's more difficult for you. Okay, so the Bengali. Chaitanya Prabhura Mahima Kahibara Torde. Krishnara Mahima Kohi Kariya Vistare. So Chaitanya Prabhura, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahima, again, his glories, Kahi Bara, Kahi speak, and Bar, the purpose of speaking, Krishnara Mahima, again Mahima, glories of Krishna, Kahi, I speak, doing Kariya Vistari, in expansion. Oh, I see. He has tried to describe the glories of Sri Krishna in detail. That's the translation, whereas the Bengali actually means expansion. So he's expanded on the glories of Krishna. That's what would be the English, but it's more easily readable the way Srila Prabhupada has done it. The glories of Sri Krishna in detail. So, this short phrase in Bengali is, really revealing that Kaviraj Goswami is telling us the glories of Krishna in such detail about the whole creation. Why? The only purpose is to increase the glories of Lord Chaitanya. And how is that? Because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. And by knowing that and beginning to feel that, we enter into the purpose of his descent, and we begin to feel in our own hearts the necessity of fulfilling the desire of Mahaprabhu in terms of the Sankirtan movement. And so that means learning, engaging in the 9 processes of devotional life, preaching and singing the glories of the Lord. And, you know, fortunately, by the grace of Srila Govinda Maharaj, there are many temples, like we sing in his prayer. He's opened many temples and ashrams all over the world. And for the purpose of giving us a chance to engage in these activities which bring out attachment to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which in turn drive us, impel us to you know, engage in devotional life. And so we're being like drawn in by a higher force. You know, in spite of our different you know, mundane attachments, on another level we're being pulled out of them by, you know, by the higher grace and the power of the Vaishnavas. So, you know, in one sense, just to stay in the temple will have effect, though we've also heard that sometimes people stay in the temple and they have different motives. So because of those mixed motives, or, you know, just singular motives of, you know, becoming known as a great devotee, or acquiring, you know, power or whatever. You know, Srila Prabhupada told us that some of his disciples had that kind of motive. And it like was so powerful that it overwhelmed the devotional motive. You know, so we have to be careful. Though being in a temple gives us full opportunity and chance to be involved in the natural flow, which is towards full surrender. And generally, most people, almost everybody is like that. Almost everybody does that. And things happen in a, you know, I found in just a miraculous way that, you know, things that are necessary along the way in our devotional life just kind of appear. And Krishna arranges so many, you know, wonderful things that help us in our devotional life. And how it is that this happens, you know, Krishna knows our hearts, and Krishna knows what we need. And sometimes it's a slap, and sometimes it's an embrace. And these things, you know, go on by the grace of Sri Guru. And in fact, Srila Govinda Maharaj told me, I know you better than you know yourself. Yeah, okay, Guru, I guess so. You know, so he, just looking at us, looking at the face, he sees the heart. I think they even have a saying that the eyes are the reflection of the soul. Do you have that in Spanish? Yeah, the eyes. What is it in Spanish? Okay, yeah. So the eyes are the reflection of the soul. So by the you know, by the grace of our gurus, we engage in devotional life, and by their grace, we're helped along the way in our service. We're steadied and pushed forward. This is the higher grace. Now, Kaviraj Goswami continues to conclude this chapter. Text 120. Chaitanya Gosanira E Tattva Nirupana Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Brajendra Nandana. I read the Sanskrit first. Anyway, it was pretty clear Sanskrit. Tattva Nirupana. This settles the truth. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the truth is settled. The conclusion is that he is Swayam Bhagavan. He is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Swayam Bhagavan, Krishna. That self-same Krishna who is Brajendra Nandana, the son of the king of Braja, Nanda Maharaj. So Kaviraj Goswami is just for us, for the benefit of his readers, as he always says. He's like clarifying and underlining the purpose of his discussion over the course of these last 120 slokas, just to bring out in our hearts the connection with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Kaviraj Goswami, our gurus, they're all with us, working to awaken us from our mundane sleep, and the sounds which descend are sounds to awaken the soul. So if we just hear with sincerity, that process will be like in effect. It will happen. We can't imagine how much this is merciful and rare. How we've stumbled into this. Somehow or other, we've been pulled in by the grace of our gurus. So, Kaviraj Goswami is feeling great debt to his senior Vaishnava guides. And so he concludes, Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. So he's such a great soul, always under the shelter of his, senior gurus and advisors. And, we learn also that I believe the direct guru of Krishnadas was Nityananda, who elsewhere, Kaviraj Goswami said, my pen is simply moving. I don't even know what I'm writing, but it's moving by the power of Nityananda Prabhu. So, who can imagine how this is working? In a similar way, Srila Guru Maharaj told us that Srila Prabhupada did the work of 100 men or something. He did so many books, so much power in spreading Krishna consciousness, so many dedicated disciples, really totally giving their life and totally directed in such a way as to spread the glories and the knowledge about Krishna consciousness. It was, so powerful and so effective, it had to be Nityananda. This was the vision of Srila Guru Maharaj. And this is cited all over the world now, that he is Shaktivesh avatar of Nityananda. But most people don't know that came from Srila Sridhar Maharaj. But we know. So we're fortunate. Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. So we begin chapter 3 tomorrow. And this is going to be meaning of the fourth. Okay. Yeah, he's going to review the meaning of the fourth of the first, I believe, 12 shlokas or 14 slokas of the beginning of the Bhagavad-gita, of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he'll review it in detail through the full chapter. And this is it's presenting authentic evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures to substantiate the identity of Lord Chaitanya with Sri Krishna himself. So the previous chapter, he established the glories of Krishna in bringing about the creation of all the universes in the creation, and began to connect Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with the same Lord Sri Krishna. And now in this next chapter that we're doing, chapter 3, he's going to cite so much scriptural evidence and other conclusions by great saints that have illuminated the fact that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Yuga avatar, and not only that, who descended to deliver the Sankirtan movement, but not only that, he's delivered to engage in his own high and beautiful pastime of experiencing or trying to experience the love of Srimati Radharani. So those two purposes for the descent, and Kaviraj Goswami is just generally going to connect the descent of Mahaprabhu with the scriptures, and which in turn connect Mahaprabhu with Krishna himself. So that's the next chapter, and we'll start tomorrow. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Krishna Ras Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Mat Acharya Brinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol, Jai Gurudev. Oh, can you go over to the, do you have the information?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Didi. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopala Govindaram Sri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Giradhar Sri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha Sri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Ch.Ch Gosai Kori Chardana Vandan Jaha Hoite Bignanash Abhishta Puran. Let's see, Hari Haraya. Hari Haraya Namakrishna. Oh, it's 60. H.I. Gosai Jar Munitar Das Tang Sabara Padarenu Moda Panchagras Tandira Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanevas Janame Janame Moda E Abhilas H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilavas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Kodila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Kori Asha Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Kori Asha Hari Nama Sankirtan Kohe Narottama Dasa Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Hey Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Jai Sapadikara Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaja Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaja Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakhak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaja Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Visvavaranya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. What is that? Can't remember. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad-gita Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Mata Ki Jai. Visvabhyapita Diya Shaka Mata Ki Jai. London Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Mata Ki Jai. Samaveta Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Hari Nama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Haribo. Jai Gurudev. Oh. Run, run, run.